So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the concept of having like an Achilles heel. So, if we look at Malice, like we'll assume we have genuinely full power Malice, okay? But where is the weakness in this deck? So, first off, let's just throw in the cards and let's see the consistency. So, these are our one card starters, and technically, White Rabbit is also a one card starter. So, now we're at 9 1 cards. Gold Sark as well. Well, this is as full power as it was in Master Duel, I suppose. So now we have 11 one-card starters, and there are a few other one-card starters you can run. But yeah, about this many was sufficient. And technically, you can allure into some of these guys as well if you want to account for that. You don't necessarily have to, but alright. Now, the deck, and just every deck in general, is becoming more consistent, so just having this many starters is not like that problematic. So if we had like 12 as well, like 12 cards, uh, 13, whatever, it wouldn't matter too much. It's just a little bit more consistent than other decks, maybe. So consistency never going to be that big of a deal unless it's that far above every other decks. So about this much is okay at least. But then you have to consider, okay, this this is actually a not even hard once per turn kind of extender and starter, and that applies to this as well. So you actually have 5 of these cards, which is pretty gross. But yeah, this is the equivalent of if I guess Punk had 5 emergency teleports that you could just have in your hand, and some of them not being hard once per turn. Well, emergency teleport is not hard once per turn anyway, so yeah, there's that. And now, if we just look for the weakness of Malice, just to start, so we normal summon Dormouse, and then we go through like the entire Malice line. There actually is not a single point in time where you can actually effectively Ash Blossom Joe Spring at all. If we were to Infinite Impermanence, that actually does work. Our opponent does not have a second card. In which case, if they did have the second card, we can now neither Ash Blossom Joe Spring them, nor can we hit them with the Infinite Impermanence. So then we'll have to look for cards that are super effective into Malice specifically. And then for this, we have Lancia. So you run 3 of Lancia, okay? So let's assume these 3 Lancias are going to carry the whole weight of the world on their shoulders. You resolve Lancia against Malice, we'll just assume you automatically win, okay? So going second against Malice, we're going to activate Lancia, and then we're going to assume we automatically win, right? If we only run Lancia, because they ignore like every other single hand trap that you run for other things, like just generic stuff like Imperm, Ash Blossom, because you need to Ash like Mexi and all that. Mexi, Molcharmies, whatever. Uh, well, that doesn't work. So now you're relying basically solely on Valencia. And yeah, that means 70% of the time you're still losing to Malice because you just didn't open the Lancia. So now from here, what else can we run? Yeah, in terms of hand traps, there really isn't anything else. That's about it, right? You just have Lancia, or you don't have anything really. I mean, if you have Lancia, you can get sorted, at least, I guess. Without Lancia, hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can really do without Lancia, basically. So, in terms of other hand traps that actually work, I mean, the Dimension Shifter was actually surprisingly effective because for some reason the deck just didn't like being banished really because of how the deck functions. You have to banish your card, and then that card special summons itself, and it's hard once per turn. So just for example, if you were to link off Dormouse and then link off like Link Decoder, those cards kind of come back, and then they don't really come back later. They were going to come back with the combo normally, but now that affects their combo in a negative way essentially. So we could throw in Dimension Shifter as well. Even if we throw in 2, it's still like not that reliable in terms of ways for you to kind of beat Malice, because they're so freaking hand trap resistant. But you know, if they're this hand trap resistant for the most part, then that surely means that yeah, you'll be able to surely just resolve board breakers or something against them. No, because well, you have the idea of with the mouse cards, you have the set back row GWC 06 here, which will bring back. Well, you have multiple ways to do this actually, but essentially you can special summon White Binder, and then this will banish Red Ransom and all these other cards come back. So you can banish 3 cards. Red Ransom also banishes a card, which will trigger as well. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, including itself, and then this banishes a guy. So that's 5 bodies off of just resolving GWC. And even if we don't resolve that, we have the idea of resolving March Hare's effect in hand, because we can have pretty reliable access to March Hare after we finish our combo that you can't really do much about. And then we can special summon March Hare here. And then, yeah, same deal. Even if you dealt with the back row, March Hare can kind of just be used for the same purpose as well. If we did Forbidden Droplet, Dark Ruler no more, these guys weren't even on the field to begin with, right? And then even if we put them on the field on our opponents, then we can set MTBO7, or we can just have MTBO7. For our opponent, we can also technically have like Malice in the Mirror for our opponent as well, to be kind of like macro related interruptions. And also the deck draws just like a billion times, just normal natty draws. So if we banish White Binder, that'll be 4 draws. So you banish this twice, once on your turn, once on your opponent's, and then you do Chessy Cat effect for like 4 draws, which is essentially an additional hand that your opponent has to deal with. So that's great, I guess. But yeah, now from this point, you have to deal with such an enormous amount of just like potential hand traps, because keep in mind this was a 1-card combo. Where is the weakness? The weakness is if your opponent specifically opens just a single Dormouse. Well, if we don't have like Lancia and all that, then normal summon a singular Dormouse. If I negate this, then there should be no further plays. I guess that's about the best we can hope for, really. Which is really not great, we'll just say. But here we go. Where is the Achilles heel here? Is there any point we could do any specific interruption here? So if we have infinite impermanence, we just have to drop it on the Dormouse. We can't hold this for like Apollosa. That's not really going to do much for us. It knocks off, sure, like maybe 2 negates, or even if we negate like Red Ransom, you still have the ideas to banish Red Ransom later, which gets you into all your other stuff still. You can even do like Link off Red Ransom plus 1 other monster, make SP. So in this case, we could do Link Decoder plus Red Ransom, make SP, banish Red Ransom, and that could play around like a potential imperm that way. Or we could use Link Rebo to play around the imperm. So you never have anything you can imperm. Like you cannot imperm the Apollosa because it'll just simply be negated as well. Triple Tactics Talents won't really do much for you because there's not much it really does here. And we have also several hand traps to deal with, so even if you did, in theory, out the board, you still have to deal with like a cascade of hand traps. So you're going to have to deal with like hand traps, back row, and then like cards that appear out like thin air from the graveyard. That's really hard to stop as well. So once again, I ask, where exactly is the weakness here? So the correct answer, in case you're wondering, was simply winning the coin flip. If you win the coin flip, you'll only have to deal with the hand traps, and you won't really have to worry about the mouse cards too much because they won't be able to set up. And yeah, that's the weakness here. Simply win the coin flip, because if you win the coin flip, most strategies can make an end board that's strong enough to actually cook Malice, like just in general, right? Assuming you don't like die to the insane amount of hand traps that they'll definitely be running. But if you get past that, congratulations, you've probably beat Malice, I guess. But yeah, I mean, once again, I ask, where is the Achilles heel here? So because all of the cards have so many effects and they're all like relatively strong, if we're looking at the main deck and extra deck cards, well, when they're working synergistically, I suppose, if we look at the main deck cards, they're not actually that powerful. So if we just cut off access to the extra deck, it's not that bad, but it's very hard to cut off access to the extra deck because of how strong the main deck cards are. It's just really rough. But if we were to look at like Branded, for example, Brand Fusion, activate Branded Fusion, negate Brand Fusion, stop access to Branded Fusion. Pretty simple. It has an Achilles heel and all that, right? And it's still relatively consistent. I mean, the issue with this is specifically that they can floodgate you in different ways. Like with Branded, there's multiple. But yeah. Aside from that, Branded, genuinely not that terrible to deal with in comparison to this, because this is more stoppable with just needing you to maybe hold for Branded Fusion in some cases. Very clear Achilles heel, simple to play against, and I mean, if we look at the reverse of the situation, then there's an issue of, okay, so I have a really insane Achilles heel. My opponent just has Ash Blossom loaded and ready. How am I supposed to play around that? Well, then we have the issue of not being able to play the game because your opponent's card is too good against yours in general. So you can't win them all, basically. Either, a deck is going to be too strong or it's not going to be strong enough, and it's really hard to somewhat have a deck be like somewhat interesting, somewhat cool, have like a relatively acceptable weakness without being too strong as well, and it has to be at least a certain level of strong to be like actually at least playable. So it's pretty rough, but at least I'll say like Vanquish Soul takes off some of the checkboxes. It's just a little bit too weak for like a variety of reasons. Well, you have like this insane Achilles heel called Rock of the Vanquisher. Like we'd go over it, but it's just ridiculous how this. If you read the cards here, you'll think, oh damn, this looks so hand trap resistant, and then you'll realize, oh wait, if you actually play those hand traps correctly, there actually isn't a single damn thing you can do, no matter like what hand you open, unless it's like a 3 or 4 card like hand. That Vanquish Soul is going to be like absolutely cooked by like, I don't know, let's say Ghost Ogre potentially. We have ideas of like Ghost Ogre, Infinite Impermanence, Ash Blossom, all those like will absolutely cook you. Droll Knockbird. Yeah. So if we just go through like all of the recent lists, I mean, it doesn't really feel like the recent archetypes really have a super solid Achilles heel for you to really take advantage of, not on the level of Branded at least. And even if you do play certain cards for the archetype, it'll only be effective against that archetype. So for example, let's say we want to run Droll Knockbird for Ryzeal, it does nothing against Malice. If we run Lancia, that does nothing against Ryzeal, but it will cook Malice. And we can just look through several hand traps like that, and yeah, it'll just kind of be a consistency issue as well, where 30% of the time we'll say if we run 3 Lancia, 30% of the time we'll have a completely dead card versus Ryzeal. In this case, Lancia, right? So, yeah. The game is not that simple, but yeah, I think it is genuinely still an issue where what am I supposed to do with certain cards that I must run in my deck? Where in this case, it'll be like Imperm and Ash Blossom. I'll open at least one of these 50% of the time. So 50% of the time I just have a completely dead card in my hand that I can't do anything with. Like it's activatable, but it doesn't do anything. That's kind of wild, isn't it? So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. But wait, that sounds like just Sword Soul version 2, where instead of just being immune to Ash, now they're immune to Ash and Imperm. Uh, yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye.